What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Monday, August 1st, 2022. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in the San Francisco Bay Area, a.k.a. the pure one, at Tim Geddes.
It's been a while since I've heard that one.
It
I like
has
that
been.
it's expanding. The Bay Area now, not just SF. I'll take it.
Well, you know what? I feel like that's included in there. And was it just
Yeah.
me covering a fuck up? No,
No,
it wasn't that
never,
at all. Are you
never.
kidding me? Come on,
Yeah.
now. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing so fantastic, Greg. It's great to be back here with you. I haven't seen you in at least 10 hours, it
I know,
feels
right?
like. You and I went on a little vacation down to Nashville, Tennessee. I'm sure we're going to talk all about that on the Kinda Funny podcast later. But I just want to say,
Patreon.com/kindafunny. You can get it live.
it was the best weekend I've had in a very, very long time, Greg. So thank you for being a part of that.
Tim, thank you for being a part of that. Coming to Nashville, going to SummerSlam with me, hanging out backstage, meeting the Undertaker, having a great time. We lived. Barrett.
Sounds really fun. Sounds like a fun weekend.
You had fun here, though, Barrett? What'd you do here? Who'd you meet this weekend, huh?
No one. My wife was out of town, so I did nothing.
Now,
Congrats.
obviously, you love your wife. Man, this isn't like we're not doing like a weird sitcom Married with Children thing.
Where is this going?
But did you enjoy the weekend alone? Like, was it nice to just, I'm sure, veg out, play games, hang out with Lulu?
It is one of those weird things where it's like I just don't know what to do with my life,
What do you do with yourself?
and it's like it's a typical, because she goes to bed early usually anyway because she is a teacher, right? So there is like a good chunk of the night where I'm like, all right, I can just kind of do whatever. But then when I have that in a long, like kind of weekend kind of version of that, and there's too much to consume, I'm like, it's a paralysis almost of like I don't know what to do anymore.
Sure.
I know I
You
have to
too
take
much free
Lulu
time,
out.
too.
Those are the staples of like we're
Yeah.
gonna go on long hikes and that's gonna be fun. But then what do I do in between when she's like tired and it's just me and then I just sit there alone with my thoughts, and then at 8 at night I'm like, you know what? I'll start The Bear, and then I watch The Bear in one sitting. Thank you to you, Greg. You recommended that show to everybody.
Put it on the map, everybody.
You put it on the map, and yeah,
It's one of those things where a lot of other people talked about it, but they don't know how to review things. They don't know how to promote things. They don't have an audience. They just ride the coattails of other
Bunch
people.
of losers.
So exactly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry that old Pete Pete in the garage over there, he says The Bear good, or Nick over there, some
Pete
moron.
says The Bear good.
Some moron named Nick thinks it's all right.
Yeah.
When Greg Miller comes down with 15 years of reviewing experience, you go, oh, that is something I'm going to pay attention to.
I feel like Greg it nailed, being from the Midwest, not the specific part of the Midwest it represents, but being from the Midwest, kind of like capturing the life of like just like the working man and just being depressed, living in the Midwest, just trying to get by. Do you feel like it nailed the vibe? I feel like
Oh, yeah, for sure. It definitely nails the vibe of living in Chicago like that. Yeah, 100%.
Also, shout out to you being in SummerSlam this weekend.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
God.
Defining moment of my life and career this weekend, but no big deal. We'll talk about that on Patreon this afternoon for the Kinda Funny podcast. You can get tomorrow on youtube.com/kindafunny. This is the video game show. And right before we went live, the old IGN first popped out with Gotham Knights. Now, I, of course, getting the show together, doing my emails, getting everything ready over here. I didn't have a chance to dive into it. Barrett, you did. Everyone knows you are the Batman fan here for the Arkham games and everything else. Of course, everybody should go check out Arkham in Review when you went through and you did all the Arkham reviews and stuff like that. But my question here is, you and I have talked at length about this because, I'm quite the Batman fan as well. Concern, is this just going to be a 7? Yada, yada, yada. What are you thinking after this IGN first that you got to see this?
So this is the first 16 minutes of gameplay. This is kind of like after all the intro stuff. They mainly focus on a Batgirl here. There's like a little intro where it's like the four of them kind of standing around and kind of talking about like, all right, well, like what do we have to do? Batman's dead. Hear the thing. Batman is dead. Smiley.
Batman is dead.
And so it's them kind of picking up the kind of clues that he left behind before he passed away, and them just trying to like figure out like what he was up to before he died, right? And so yeah, you can pick whoever you want at the beginning. The player I assume was Simon Cardy, because I think he did the VO for this. Picked Batgirl to showcase, and
so the gameplay is really bad. Then is what you're saying. You're getting ahead of that.
No.
Cardy's involved with it.
It
Cardy's involved with it. Guy couldn't even play Predator, right?
Okay, all right. The intro here feels like very like almost it harkens back to Arkham in a lot of ways. Of just,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it looks
very
like she's doing detective vision there, right?
yeah,
Where you're
like
like
very
on the blood
creepy
spat.
vibes. And yeah, like bringing up detective vision, even like she's investigating the death of Kirk Langstrom. Wink, wink, nod, nod. There, Greggy, right? And so she goes up to the desk here, and she's looking for how to get into this secret like
the gray
passageway. Yeah, a little gray ghost stuff here, and then she's like kind of finding out like, oh, this Kirk Langstrom, kind of a crazy scientist. A little wink, wink, nudge, nudge there. And then you get some rioting going on, beating up some fools, and they definitely they actually kind of showcase like what is going to be different when it comes to the combat with differentiating itself from the Arkham games. And yeah, it's interesting, right, Greg, of like in Batman, right, it's like punch is square, I think like to stun is triangle. And
triangle is your reversal or whatever.
Yeah. To counter, and then circle. I think circle was to like stun and stuff like that. Whereas here it's like you tap square for regular melee, you hold square for heavy attacks, and then triangle is dedicated for what was it? They just actually showed it off here.
I can go listen to Simon Carter if you want. Are you excited, Barrett? Is this good? Does it look good? It looks good.
This is the most optimistic I've been about the game so far.
Okay, good.
When they first showed off the gameplay reveal with Batgirl and Robin in the dome that we still live in today, it was like definitely like, okay, this looks cool, this looks promising, definitely looks like an early build, all this stuff, right? And then they showed off Nightwing and Red Hood, I think earlier this year, and that was like these characters are a little different. We'll see how that kind of translates into the game itself. But showing off more of Batgirl, which they've been kind of upfront of like, hey, she's going to be the most similar to Batman. Just seeing more of her, I'm like, yeah, I could see myself like really enjoying this game if I'm just playing as her and maybe Robin, right? Okay. And I think what they have here for the first 16 minutes of gameplay, I think is like a kind of strong, like solid opening of like, hey, it's different. It's what we want to build, and I think the presentation is really cool. But the thing is, right, this is a linear single play or like a linear kind of story mission, right? We're not in the open world yet. We'll see how all this combat translates once you get into like XP and upgrading and enemy types. Even at the end here, we get like a heavy enemy, and it like in this linear story campaign, right? It seems kind of pretty like simple enough of like, oh, you just have to like hold down for a heavy attack to kind of like stun him, and then like pound on him for a little bit. But like, how much does that amp up into like him, this type of enemy being like quote unquote bullet spongy and stuff like that? We'll see like once you get like later into the game, and you're upgrading things, and assumedly your enemies are also getting upgraded and stuff like that throughout the game. So we'll see. I'm optimistic, Greg. I'm optimistic.
Well, that's IGN first. You can head over to IGN.com to see more of that. But right now, let's talk about PlayStation. Speaking up about Xbox and Call of Duty, a new Pokemon Presents happening this week, and so much more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Over on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can write in to be part of the show. You could be a Patreon producer. You could get the show ad-free. You could get it with the exclusive post show we do each and every weekday. I have it on good authority that today's post show is going to be one you don't want to miss. It is another shit list. It's the 10 best wrestling video games of all time. I'm very excited to delve into that with the one and only Tim Geddes. Of course, if you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. There are plenty of free ways to support us. Number one, of course, you could be using the Epic creator code Kinda Funny on the Epic Game Store, or Fortnite, or Fall Guys, or Rocket League, wherever you can enter the Epic creator code on any platform. If you put in Kinda Funny, it benefits us and costs you nothing else, and that's a great thing to do. Of course, you can watch us record this show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like Gregory Max is, PJ Julian is, and Crush Lemons are. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up, so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. Housekeeping for you. It is August 1st, which means there is a brand new Patreon platinum item revealed. It's up on twitter.com/kindafunnyvids right now. You, of course, can always go to kindafunny.com/platinum to keep up on whatever the new platinum item is. Today, it is one created by Phil J. Woodward. It is a brand new thing. Greg's voice memos to Andy have been adapted into a 20-page booklet designed and concepted by @Phil J. Woodward. Head over to patreon.com/kindafunny or patreon.com/kindafunnygames to get yours now at the platinum level. What he's done right is gone through the first year of my Twitter voice messages to Andy and adapted them into stories with hand-drawn art. 20 plus pages of the diary of a madman, Greg Miller, middle of the night, hey Andy, messages illustrated.
It's amazing, Greg. It is. This looks amazing. It looks so much better than it has any right to. Yeah. And also, you are a madman. I love that it's Greg's first year of Twitter voice messages.
Oh, that's not the last.
Oh yeah, exactly. Philip killed it. Everyone, check it out. Kind of
recorded a very special one just for you, the person who gets that. It will be transcribed on the back, from what I understand. So there you go. It's a personal one just to you. There's also a new Kinda Funny Xcast up. It went up, of course, on Saturday. The last Saturday posting of the Xcast. No. Tim didn't cancel the Xcast. We're just moving it, ladies and gentlemen. The Xcast is now recording on Tuesday afternoons, posting Wednesday mornings. That's right. The Xcast is a weekday show, and you should be excited. However, the new episode is up. The boys talk about whether or not the console wars are finally over because of the one, the only, the Big Daddy, Phil Spencer, coming out and talking about his love for PlayStation and God of War. That's up right now on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and on podcast services around the globe. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Fargo Brady, Guy VN, The Saboteur. Today, we're brought to you by MeUndies and Chime, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin your week with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 6 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Let's talk about it. PlayStation versus Xbox, though, in the battlefield is Call of Duty. Sony says Microsoft's ownership of the Call of Duty could influence console buyers in the future. This is Jeffrey Rousseau over at gamesindustry.biz. A new report reveals that Sony believes that Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard may influence future console purchases. As reported by VGC, the platform holder responded to questions about the acquisition from the Brazilian government alongside other gaming and tech firms. Quote, Call of Duty is synonymous with first-person shooter games and essentially defines that category, it says to regulators. Sony noted in the questionnaire that it's unlikely that a competitor can rival Call of Duty due to the development resources it uses. Approximately 1,200 people work on each version, and another 1,500 people are involved in publishing and distribution, it explained. Thus, Call of Duty alone has more developers than most game companies employ across its entire development portfolio, including AAA studios. Sony added that for the past decade, Call of Duty is overwhelmingly the best-selling game. Quote, Call of Duty is so popular that it influences users' choice of consoles, and its community of loyal users is entrenched enough that even if a competitor had the budget to develop a similar product, it would not be able to rival that, Sony explained. Tim, we're getting in, of course, to these old regulatory things and what's going on here where people sound off and say their whole business. What was your read this morning as you went through and saw this one pop up and you see Sony actually talking a little bit about this and going into it?
I mean, look, it's not like anything here is a surprise or inaccurate in any way, shape, or form. Like Call of Duty is on a different level. It's in a completely different league when it comes to the resources that go into it compared to other video games, even compared to some of the highest profile first party titles, right? Because Call of Duty is multi-platform, or at least has been for as long as it's been around. So because of that, I feel like looking at this, nothing here is surprising. I do think that we're about to get into this era of, we had the acquisition era that I don't think is over yet. We're still in it, but we're about to hit the next phase of that, phase 2 of the acquisitions, which is a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo headlines coming out, Twitter exploding with takes on just not even reading what was actually said, just the headline, and then rinse and repeat, right? Because looking at this, it's interesting where it's like, cool, Brazilian government was the one that kind of prompted this. Did Sony go to them or did they go to Sony? Right?
No. So what this is, of course, Andy Robinson has the original report. He found it on it's on VGC, and that's pulled up up, of course, from a Reset Era thread, right? He writes there, Sony believes, blah, 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 right? That's according to the company's official response to questions from Brazil's regulatory body. So just like we always talk about here, how many layers there are to this kind of deal, this is the same thing in Brazil, where they reach out to competitors and also partners to be like, what is the takeaway from this? If this was to happen, where would this go? Andy continues, along with other companies such as Ubisoft, Amazon, and Google, Sony's responses to several questions about the proposed acquisitions have been published by the Brazilian government. So again, what I find interesting about this and why it's making rounds, it isn't the sky is falling, crazy headline. It's just getting an official response from PlayStation about this. And it's not even them saying, hey, kill this deal. Like it's not them being like, this is the end all be all. It is very much them going into these, a 2019 study about this and where they come off of that. And then the details we already have, right? Of like trying to explain to a government body how big of a deal this is and how big Call of Duty is to it. And even Andy's article goes on to talk about the fact of like, in his first response to Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard, published in January, Sony said it expects Call of Duty games to remain multi-platform due to quote-unquote contractual agreements. Microsoft's head of gaming also subsequently confirmed his intention to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation platforms once Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard is complete, which is where it's like, okay, that's all great news, right? And we all knew that. But then, of course, remember, however, it was later claimed Activision Blizzard is contractually committed to releasing only the next 3 Call of Duty games on PlayStation consoles, including this year's Modern Warfare 2. So it's like this whole thing back and forth of just like, hey, Brazil, or any government agency that will ever listen to this, right? We are saying this is what's up with it. This is where we're at, and this is how we feel about it. But they need to get that out there as you do this. But I really don't think there's a way to stop this deal.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. And I think that we are so early and there's so many different things that can happen in the world, let alone the gaming industry, that I don't know what it's going to look like in 3 years. At the end of the day, Xbox is going to do whatever makes them the most money and whatever makes them the strongest video game brand. And if that means making Call of Duty exclusive, they're going to do that. And if that means making it multi-platform, they're going to do that after the 3 years are up, once they get through all of their prior arrangements. You know what I mean? So with that, it's like, I don't know what this is going to look like. Is Call of Duty going to dramatically change in 5 years from where it is now? Probably. I think in more ways than one. I imagine that there is a higher chance than ever that it'll stop being annualized once Microsoft actually gets it. What does that mean in terms of making it exclusive or multi-plat or whatever? We'll have to wait and see. I think it's just way too early and there's way too many things up in the air to be able to even make an educated guess. But I do think that Sony responding the way they do here is just them being real and honest. There's nothing being said here that I think is them kind of being shady to like make themselves benefit more than that is accurate, right? Like this is yes, people would potentially choose Xbox over PlayStation if it was exclusive there. That's the whole point of this, right? So
of course,
totally makes sense.
Yeah, and I think to your point of what does it look like in the future, right? The main thing to take away, I believe that yes, they will keep it multi-platform. And again, is it just these 3 games? Is it going to be into the ever-long future? Who knows what's going on with that? I would think you would, because as usual, right? The power of Xbox is going to be saying it's day and date free on Xbox Game Pass. If you have Xbox Game Pass, you have Call of Duty. If you have Xbox Game Pass, you have xCloud, and you can stream Call of Duty from your phone with your computer controller adapter, right? If you wanted to. And it'll be the idea that, again, let's say it is just the 3 games. Let's say they slow down and it's not annualized. We're now pushing into 5 years. Like you just said, what does 5 years later look like? I always go back to what the internet's going to look like in 5 years, and what 5G, 6G, whatever the hell it's going to look like in 5 years, what xCloud and latency and streaming technology is going to look like in 5 years. And again, we're talking about exactly what Xbox is betting on for the future. And if the future is, hey, the biggest game every year, Call of Duty, you can get now for $1 alongside hundreds of other titles and play it on any device, anywhere, on your TV, app, on your Xbox, whatever. Like, that is enticing, obviously, to bring over a large portion of the PlayStation audience, you would assume, who want to play that game and be ready to play it anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, the reality is that so far with similar things, Starfield is not doing that, even though it is just as easy to say, oh, day and date on Game Pass, you can buy it on PlayStation, but it's day and date on Game Pass. I do think the difference is multiplayer games. I do think the difference is community focused things, and something Call of Duty is its own beast at this point. And people know that. Everyone knows that. Sony, Microsoft, they get it. So I don't think we can predict it. That's where I'm at now.
No,
So
you're right. We
We
can't.
need to see where we're at. But I think that there's good evidence both ways that Call of Duty might be an outlier that stays multi-platform forever, more akin to a Minecraft as opposed to Starfield and things like that, because of the type of game it is.
Yeah, well, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Where I think a Starfield is a niche game, right? It is a smaller game. It's still going to be huge. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm not taking a shot or anything, but it is that is a feather in your cap and a way to move those hardcore RPG players that are looking for that Bethesda experience and really drive home that, Xbox is the home of Bethesda, period.
Yes.
We know how dedicated that audience is, and we know that audience is playing a gajillion games, and we want them to be playing a gajillion games that are all on their Xbox or using Xbox Game Pass. And maybe you didn't get, you've never looked at your Xbox, but you want to, or you never looked at buying an Xbox. Now you do, or now you get into the ecosystem or whatever. Whereas Call of Duty, I think, is just so big and such a juggernaut. And it's like, that you can't convert every Call of Duty sale to an Xbox sale. So do you really cut off your nose to spite your face on that? Totally. Or do you just publish it on PlayStation as well? So you're like, cool, those players are paying us $70 and we're getting that game from it. But which is also then offsetting costs in a way of what we're getting on Game Pass. But then to your point, does the game look dramatically different? Well, it's already got microtransactions in it, but what does that look like in the future when you're getting the game for basically free? And then how are you doing DLC? Like, there's so many millions of interesting threads and ways this will evolve and change and grow, let alone then the whole cloud stuff and everything else.
Let alone Warzone, right?
Right.
Like half of Call of Duty. I mean, I'd be interested actually at this point in terms of monetary gain from them of what is more valuable, Warzone or their annualized games that are getting $70 a pop every time they put them out. Because regardless, it is a fair chunk of that change is going to Warzone, and that's free to play. So you're not getting that benefit if you put it on PlayStation. But you are getting the benefit of those people, doing all the monetary stuff, the microtransactions or whatever.
I think when we were taking off to go to Nashville, did you see that the T800 and the T1000 are coming to Warzone today?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Greg, are we watching Terminator 2 tonight? What's going on, buddy?
Oh, that hit a frequency.
I've been saying Terminator in review for a long time.
Oh, yeah. One day we'll do it.
Did we not?
We did.
Okay.
Well, we only did the ones that were canonical to the last one where they killed.
Right.
Yeah. Go watch it. YouTube.com/kindafunny.
Are you bending it all on the Before trilogy in review? Where are we at with that? Have you yet?
Oh, it's working on that one. Yeah.
I wined and dined you all week long in Nashville, trying to get you to number 2 on the Roper Report. We're getting a Pokemon Presents live stream this week. We are reading straight from Pokemon on the Twitter, who says, "Attention trainers, tune in to our YouTube channel on Wednesday, August 3rd at 6 a.m. 10 Pacific for a Pokemon Presents video presentation with updates on Pokemon apps and video games, including Pokemon Scarlet Violet." For a little bit more context, we go to the one, the only, the Joe Scrabbles from IGN.com, who writes, "The last Pokemon Presents showcase came in February and saw the announcement of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, as well as news for Pokemon Legends Arceus, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl, Pokemon Go, and more. Since then, we've learned a lot more about the next mainline Pokemon games. From its November 18th release date, the new legendaries, its brand new 4-player co-op multiplayer, and the fact that Undertale creator Toby Fox is composing music for the game." Timothy Robert Geddes, second best baby blues in San Francisco. You, of course, are a Poke maniac. Where are you at with this? Where are you excited for this? Because sometimes you come into these things like, oh, it won't be that great, and then it's amazing and it's crazy. It's outrageous.
Well, and that's true. There was just that one time that happened with Pokemon Snap being announced. But
don't forget about Pokemon Snap.
We were there for Pokemon Sleep, Greg. Never forget Pokemon presentation. That was
I wasn't saying you missed it. I was saying that sometimes they happen, and you're like, oh, what is it going to be? Well,
Yeah. So with this has a purpose. This is showing off Scarlet and Violet. So it's like I don't think that there's anybody that's having like ridiculous expectations of crazy reveals or anything. This is more akin to a state of play focusing on a specific game, Sure. So we're just going to kind of get a bigger breakdown of what we're about to be playing in November. So that's all really cool. They're talking about the apps and stuff. Maybe we actually do get an update on Sleep. Like,
Been a long time.
Like, yeah,
Been waiting for it.
So I think things like that are definitely going to be here. I don't expect any like anything that's gonna like really make me go, oh, nothing's
You
gonna
don't think you're gonna go,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, because like there are very few things that would do that to me at this point. With where we're at Pokemon, they just release things so quickly, and we have the biggest Gen 9 thing that we can possibly get. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they have for that game. Like I've said a million times at this point, like I am a little Pokemon out with how quickly we went from Sword and Shield, then we had a bit of a break, but then there was the DLC, and then there, for the first time ever in a Pokemon game, then there was the remakes of Gen 4 that I didn't really love. Then we had Legends Arceus. Now we have this. It's just there's a lot of these Pokemans,
Yeah.
But this is the one to really look at. This is the one that kind of seems like it's taken a lot of those ideas and putting it all together. The more open style that started in Sword and Shield was really fleshed out in Arceus. Now kind of seems they're taking that back to a mainline Pokemon game. That is definitely exciting. But and Toby Fox making music, can't wait to hear that. That sounds like it's going to be fantastic.
So are you excited enough or interested enough that you're going to wake up at 5:30, 5:50, 5:55 to do this 6 a.m. reacts on twitch.tv? Kind of funny games.
Here's my thing. Honestly, no, I don't think that there's going to be anything worth waking up and reacting to for this that I can't just like later just check out. However, if literally anybody at Kinda Funny was like, hey, I'm down to do it, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm in. Like, I am excited for this. I do want to watch this. I'd rather not watch it.
This is where we manifest blessing to hop into this call and just be like, hey, Tim, I'm down to do this.
I mean, that's on him. That's on him.
I'm in the circle for blessing everybody.
Yeah, Roger in the chat says he'll run the show, but yeah, I need an on-cam guy, or else it ain't gonna happen. I'll be Pokemon sleeping.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. You hate to see it. Pokemon dead. Blessing retired.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? Well, it's not dead. It's fine. It'll be people like it. It's fine. I'm still looking forward to this one.
Yeah, November 18th. It's coming. That's gonna be
soon. That was a good selling point on it, Tim. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, again,
it's coming.
Are you?
Sorry,
go for it. Go.
No, you go, please. I think you're gonna ask a question that's more interesting than me asking why you got old and hate Pokemon.
Are you Pokemon out?
No, not at all.
Okay.
But remember, I did the thing where I started Arceus late because of reviews. And by the time I started it, and I was like, I enjoyed this. People were like, and then this one got announced. And I was like, oh, well, I'd much rather be in a modern setting. So I'm going to hang out.
Smart.
And I'm going to do it there. Blessing Adeoye Jr. The nation turns its lonely eyes to you. You have been summoned, and I appreciate you always being on call. Are you going to wake up at 5:50 to react to a 6 a.m. Pokemon Direct with Tim and Roger on Wednesday?
Yes. Yes, I will.
Yeah, baby!
Me and you, Tim, let's do this.
Hey, my Pokemon sleep's turned into a Pokemon. Let's go. I'm here with you, Bless. Dude, I can't wait. We're going to do it the whole time. 6 a.m. Wednesday. I'll see all y'all motherfuckers there. Gotta catch them all.
Don't act like he hates Pokemon, guys. He hates it now, all right? I'm the new Pokemaniac when I get this. I'll have a team of Porygons. Nobody will be able to stop me.
I'll put it on the calendar. We're doing it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. While you do that, I will go on to sad news, everybody. Number 3 on the Rope Report is a sad one. Sony is retiring Accolades, a PlayStation 5 launch feature. This is Adele anchors range at IGN.com. Before we go any further, though, can we please have a moment of silence for Accolades? Tim, it's rude to type during the moment of silence. We can hear the clackety clacks.
I went extra hard.
Now, in the chat, OM Jesus says, what the fuck are Accolades? Let me explain this feature no one used. Sony will be retiring PlayStation 5's Accolades feature later this year, as players have not used the awards-based system as much as the company anticipated when it was unveiled at launch. As reported by the 6th Access, Sony announced in a statement that they would be pulling the plug on Accolades feature in the coming months because uptake has been low amongst PS5 users. Quote, in fall of 2022, the Accolades feature on PlayStation 5 will no longer be supported, the statement read. The feature hasn't seen the level of usage we anticipated, so we are refocusing our efforts. We encourage the community to continue to send positive messages to one another, period, end quote. Accolades were initially introduced to foster a more positive gaming experience and bring the community together by encouraging players to send one of 3 accolades, helpful, welcoming, or good sport, to a fellow gamer based on their performance in an online multiplayer match.
Good players sport, can then see.
Hey, you were very helpful and welcoming today. Oh, I can only pick one? Sorry, you were a good sport. Players could then see how many accolades they had racked up by looking at their PSN profiles.
Look, I like when PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox try to do something new. That's how trophies were or achievements were born, right? This
Sure.
I get the idea, but my problem is, especially when there's a new console, it's kind of just like a shotgun. Let's just throw a bunch of shit out there and see what happens. It's like, no. You need to commit, y'all. You need to make this worthwhile, y'all. Where's PlayStation Home, Greg? Let's make it good.
Hey,
Those
man,
digital trophies they're talking about.
PlayStation Home limped on a long time. So let's not act like, let's not turn around. That's my thing about this is that I put it in the we have, of course, a Slack for PS I Love You. And I think it's time to go already through the PlayStation 5 bullet points they tried to launch this thing with and talk about them. Whether it is the haptic triggers, which, of course, we do love. I love bow and arrow tension. You know what I mean? If it's accolades, if it's game help, if it's the litany of other things they've added in there. Just the new create button, how revolutionary that was supposed to be. Like, what was the marketing bullshit just to put on the box to have something new? And when you saw this, when you saw accolades, you were like, come on. Like, I get it. I'm right there with you, Tim, of like, you got to swing the bat. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't do, but it's like, I really feel like anybody who uses the PlayStation 4 a lot and plays games a lot, when this got pitched in a boardroom, could have been like, no, there are better uses of our times for things. And like, it's literally that, like, the cartoon, that the meme that goes around of the guy eventually getting thrown out the window by his boss of like, did the guy who got tossed out the window, when they got to him on the thing, did he say, maybe we should have folders for games? And they were like, get the fuck out of here. Like, there's so many, like, PlayStation 4, if you remember, Tim, it launched and it was so much about the games and the gamers and developers making their games, and it's a gaming machine, and it was a stripped back approach to marketing a game system. It had a message that was very clear. It had a great through line for it. I really feel like they could have used that thinking here of just like, listen, nobody's going to give a shit about accolades. Game help is only going to really be supported when we force developers to do it. So that's going to be a hit or miss thing of what we're doing. Maybe we double down on trying to explain trophies and make them matter to people. They've announced the PlayStation Rewards program coming back, and what that is. I'd rather have seen that at launch. That would have been more fun and exciting for something there. Like, there's different ways of building a community, and this was clearly such a afterthought, surface level. Like, I don't understand how, with all the data PlayStation and Xbox and everybody else has, this isn't about every, I'm not saying PlayStation, only people get this wrong, but PlayStation in this instance, how much data they must have. And I always think about us, Tim, of trying to get somebody in a tweet just to click a link, and how fucking nigh impossible that is. And I understand because everybody's busy and a million things going on, yada yada. Think about like the hoops you're making someone jump through to be like, I am playing Fall Guys and I am having a good time. And inside Fall Guys, there's all the stuff I can do in the game. But then on top of that, you want me to PlayStation button out, find my recently played players, click on that person, then click on accolades. Then, like, we're talking about just the trees to get to any of this stuff that is just like such fat on the plate that you just did not need on this steak.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, like, there are certain features like the game help, or specifically like the trophy videos that'll play, or like trying to help you assist getting a trophy. And every once in a while, I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to use this right now. And even that stuff, even when it's there, I feel is just enough steps out of my gaming experience and like not well presented enough that I'm like, oh, this just isn't worth it. Like, I'm just not going to do this. And I would rather pull up my phone and go to YouTube and look for what I'm trying to do. And like, again, I want to support them trying new things and pushing ideas forward, because I do think that was a good idea. But good ideas need to be implemented at least okay for them to be able to grow and get better. If you launch them and they're just kind of like, oh, this is a bad implementation of this. If it's bad, people are going to have a bad taste in their mouth. They're not going to want to use it, and then it's just going to die. And things like accolades, I feel like should have died before they even got to that step. Because it's like this, it just doesn't seem like it was a really necessary. I don't even think the people that would want to use this really would want to use this.
That makes sense. I think a nice PSN message probably goes further than saying, guess what? You were welcoming. Here you go.
Good sport.
Cool. Does this badge give me anything? They get a discount on the PlayStation Store? Or they give me a trophy? No.
See, and that's the thing, and I don't want to go too long on this, but I was talking about PlayStation Home earlier, Greg. Like Bless and I, when we covered the story about the PlayStation rewards system that they announced, it's like we're talking about, all right, cool. A lot of the stuff here seems silly and stupid. All of this stuff is silly and stupid when we start talking about like the trophy side of things. But like silly and stupid is part of why we play these games. And if you treat the silly and stupid thing like it matters, then it matters to us. And then we all think it matters. And then it just enhances the gaming experience. So if they brought back a version to PlayStation Home and in these rewards, you're getting these trophies that are digital things or posters or whatever that go up in your PlayStation Home, that could be cool. And if these accolades were tied into that and you're incentivized to be nice to people and to go out and like actually form community-based relationships and you get like rewards to put back in your digital home or whatever, it's like at least that is for an audience and there could be a worthwhile endeavor there of people being more invested in the games they're playing. With all of this, it just kind of feels like a bunch of features that are not really fleshed out, that are all existing next to each other instead of with each other.
Hey, gaming has this idea that it's toxic. We'd like to not be toxic. All right, well, if we put out there, we have this thing called accolades where you can only reward good behavior. It looks like we're making a fight for it. All right, cool. No one uses it. Delete it. Why are we doing?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to give us accolades?
Please.
The best way to do that is on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, where you can go to get every episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily, PS I Love You, the Xcast, Gamescast, ad-free. You can watch the other shows early as we record them in an exclusive window and be a trog, and you get that post show we do each and every weekday. Of course, though, what I'm talking about right now when I talk about patreon.com/kindafunnygames is that you could go there to get the show ad-free. But since you're not there, here's a word from our sponsors. No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That's up to 2 days more to save, pay bills, and generally feel good about your money situation. But Chime is more than just about getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank NA members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on the payer. Have you heard about the legendary underwear brand that's taken the podcast world by storm? Famous for their buttery soft undies and bralettes, MeUndies loves podcasts just as much as you do. It's like they're made for you and you're made for them. You're made for each other. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know I love my MeUndies because they're the most comfortable underwear I've ever had and because they have great patterns. As the king of Halloween, my candy corn pair never fails to make me smile. Everyone knows MeUndies for their super soft undies and comfy bralettes, but did you know they also make other stuff? We're talking about durable, cushy socks that will make your feet sing. They even make hoodies for your dog so you can match every important person in your life. Available in sizes XS to 4XL and tons of colors and prints. MeUndies has a great offer for my listeners. Any first-time purchasers can get 20% off plus free shipping and returns. To get 20% off your first order, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/kindafunny. That's MeUndies.com/kindafunny. Thank you to our friends Daft Punk for giving us that backing track for those ads. It's very good. Number 4 on the Roper Report, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Disrespect reveals the first gameplay demo for his FPS Deadrop, or is it D-Drop?
Dewdrop.
D-Drop. Because it's Dead Drop shoved together, but I guess it's D-Drop, or is it supposed to be? I don't know.
It's definitely Dead Drop.
Huh? You think it's Dead Drop?
Yes. It's like
you think it's Dead Drop? Maybe it's Dead Drop, you know? Andy Robinson of VGC has a story. Barrett was playing some gameplay there. Go back to it, Barrett. Sorry. Midnight Society, the developer founded by the streamer Guy, Dr. Disrespect Beam, has debuted his first look at its first-person shooter D-Drop. On Friday, the studio officially named the PvP multiplayer tile, which plans to incorporate NFTs, and debuted a first playable snapshot of the game, which is available to download for approved users on its website. The playable snapshot is part of Midnight Society's plan to include its community in the development of the game. The developer has also said it intends to forge a partnership with a select list of mega influencers and then work closely with them to launch their dream gaming title. Midnight Society's 3 leads consist of Beam himself, studio head Robert Bowling, and creative director Quinn Del Hoyo. Tim, we're watching it here. We
Mhm.
talked about a competitor for Call of Duty. Is this it?
I doubt that this is the competitor for Call of Duty. Yeah, probably
Okay.
not.
But Tim, it's got NFTs. Does Call of Duty have NFTs? I mean,
Look,
at this
man,
point, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, that's who the fuck knows. Here's the thing. Like, I feel like a lot of what they've been talking about from the Midnight Society stuff, like in theory, is cool. On paper, is cool when they're talking about the snapshots of the game and how they're developing the game. In reality, that's not how games are made. And in reality, this is a disaster. And it's like we know that because we've seen how games are made. We've talked about how games are made for so long that, like, yeah, like this type of paradigm shift is not possible from just influencers kind of deciding they're going to make a game and teaming up with people. Again, teaming up with people that have storied histories in game development. I'm not like taking away from them, but to do something like this, you need a lot of resources, and I just don't think that they're there. And that's, I think, where the NFT stuff comes in. And chances are that's going to be a disaster. I feel like I would bet 100% this is not going to work. But if they're tripling down on it and they're like, yeah, that is the entire way we are building this, it's like, all right, this is gonna probably at the end of the day just be evidence of it not working. But go for it.
The other undercurrent to this story is the internet really tearing it apart. If you're an audio listener and watching, it's basically a firing range. You run around and shoot. And again, this is obviously a demo. This is just a slice, yada, yada, yada. But it also just doesn't look that great, which you'd expect from a game in development, for a game like pre-alpha and yada, yada, yada. The problem comes is that Dr. Disrespect had been on the record with a tweet in June. I'm looking over here at comicbook.com where he said, I can take a screenshot right now, ... blows out anything from Call of Duty engine. Just wait until next month. So he was making promises that this was going to be like blow your mind when you look at it, and it does not blow your mind. It does not. At the current stage it is, and I'm not saying it'll never get there. I'm not saying whatever. Again, like you said, Tim, there's a talented team working on this, and there's a whole bunch of people trying really hard. We're not shitting on the game to shit on the game. I just don't think it lives up to the billing Dr. Disrespect was giving it before it got here.
And I think that's the biggest problem that they're going to face until the NFTs absolutely fuck them. That'll be their bigger problem. But I think
until they realize that that's hard to do, and if not impossible in the current state. Yeah, sure.
Exactly. But the biggest problem they have going for them is what I think is the coolest idea. And again, idea, not something they should have went forward with and done, but the vertical slices that they're going to be putting out, what was it, every 6 weeks or something? That is the plan for them to like keep people updated on the game and show off different elements. Like, that is a cool idea, but again, it's unfeasible. And especially with all of the crunch talk that we've had the last couple of years and how the industry has shifted away from that, where like, thank God people are looking at that like, this is bad. We need to fix this. And when people don't fix it, they get torn the fuck down by everybody. Like, that's awesome. But here we are with this. It's like, this is counterproductive to it. But in a lot of ways, every decision they're making here is counterproductive to what the people I'm talking about are saying, right? Yeah. But even what they're doing of, we're going to put this stuff out, it is early, we're just getting you involved in the whole process. That is counter to him saying, oh, this blows Call of Duty out of the water. Check it out next month when you see your first vertical slice, your first of potentially hundreds. Like, that's just not good. But at the same time, what's he going to say?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, and he's also a character, right? So it's like he's playing the persona and doing these things and yada, yada, yada. I didn't have the context you were talking about with every 6 weeks things. I'm now going to read a little bit from PCGamer.com where Jody McGregor writes, well, the headline's pretty great. Dr. Disrespect's game is called Deadrop. Watch some early gameplay footage. It's only got an assault rifle so far, which is nobody's favorite first-person weapon type. But going on here, a vertical extraction shooter, Deadrop will be about collecting gear and resources as you fight your way up the tower, trying to survive so that you can extract with whatever you've looted. Then you use that to fund your next trip. It sounds like Escape from Tarkov with a cyberpunk makeover. Deadrop raised funding by selling $50 founder access passes that give players access to 6 weekly snapshot builds from the early stages of its development. The first of these, called Snapshot CL 1859, is out now. Founders can download it to explore the hideout and test the assault rifle across the 3 shooting ranges. It is, of course, incredibly early in the game development process, so most of what you can see in the videos uploaded by players is likely to change. Games don't normally get shown publicly this early on, and Deadrop is a perfect example of why. There's barely anything to see and nothing to get excited about unless you're one of the more easily impressed streamers who have jumped on the bandwagon. So, something to keep your eye on. My question really becomes, I don't know. This is me this is me being negative for sure, but also just from a history of seeing games in this idea. Hey, I'm getting involved. I've been doing these things. Yeah, I'm going to make a game. We're going to do this thing. Do you think this ever gets fully released? I guess now if they're selling founder passes, there's legality that they have to release something someday, that you have to get whatever it is. But like this strikes me as a game that would just be like, it goes quiet and you never hear an end of. But I guess with the founder pass, maybe you have.
I think that this happens, and I think that the only reason it wouldn't is if the NFT stuff explodes sooner than I expect it to on them. But I definitely think that they're going to make this happen, and there are enough names involved in this, and there's enough resources going into it. And I mean, even just looking at this, like this. That alone seems more complete than a lot of games that we hear about and see. So like, I think we'll get something. Do I think it's going to be a Call of Duty competitor? Absolutely not. Do I think it has the potential?
I mean, that's fucking insane to say.
I know. Yeah,
I'm going to compete with one of the best games of all time, or one of the most successful franchises of all time. Like, all right, I mean, good luck to you. And I'm sure everybody hopes that when they start. But
totally. But like, could it find an audience? I think so, especially with the audience that they are speaking to, the audience that is still there with Dr. Disrespect, watching him every day, right? Sure, like, again, it's not us. Like, there is a side of the gaming industry, a big side that includes most of us here, that are all going to be like, no, we're not doing that. We're not supporting it. But there are a lot of other people out there with different perspectives, and as long as there is a popularity, as long as there's people talking about this shit, there's an audience that is going to buy and want to play it or watch it. There's so many different things. If they're making it, they can find ways to monetize the game, even if people aren't playing the game.
Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, number 5 on the Roper Report, PlayStation announces EVO 2022 live show and teases exciting reveals this week. This is Tom Ivan over at VGC. Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced a new live show. It will be running alongside this week's Evolution Championship Series. EVO for short. EVO 2022, which marks the show's 20th anniversary, is being held in Las Vegas from August 5th through the 7th. It features the return of competitions with players facing off in Street Fighter V Championship Edition, Guilty Gear Strive, and more. While the competitions will be streamed live via EVO's Twitch channel, Sony will also be holding its own live show from the event. Tilted PlayStation Tournaments, EVO Lounge. It will be hosted by players and commentators, and it will be viewable on PlayStation's YouTube and Twitch channels. In a PlayStation blog post, SIE Senior Director of Esports and Competitive Gaming said the show will include news from a number of companies whose games are at EVO 2022. Quote, the EVO Lounge will feature top-shelf curated show coverage, bracket updates, interviews with players, and exciting content reveals from developers and publishers such as Arc System Works, Warner Brothers Games, Capcom, SNK, and Bandai Namco Entertainment, as well as all the latest from the scene with pro players and casters, he said. Tim, that's a great fucking idea.
Oh, fantastic idea. This is, PlayStation buying EVO was already a great idea, right? Like doubling down, investing in all this stuff. But it is exciting because at EVO, there usually is, in the last couple of years, a big announcement or two, whether it's like fun characters coming to a game or brand new game announcements. Warner Brothers Games is there.
That's the one that stands out, dude. What does that mean? Like, you
Mortal
and
Kombat.
I can only speak for myself. Like, I am not a fighting game guy, but so I'm not even up to, so for Warner Brothers Games, could the reveal be a new Mortal Kombat, a new Injustice, or do you think it's just DLC, or what? I mean, like
DC versus Marvel, that rumored game from like 7 months ago.
Remember that? Yeah, when Ed Boon was talking about that and putting out shit. Can you fucking imagine?
I mean,
yeah, chat saying Multiversus is going to be there.
Yes, that is true too. But I mean, we're overdue for another Realm announcement. We're going to get a new game, not just DLC or anything.
Sure.
They've done that. We've passed all that stuff. So it's like we're going to get either the next Mortal Kombat or a crossover superhero game. And I think that it is least likely of all the likely options to be Marvel versus DC. But I don't think that that's impossible. I actually think that there is, and I've said this for a while now, and I don't know why, but my gut says I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel Games partnered with NetherRealm for a just Marvel fighting game.
Sure.
Like this, that's more in the Mortal Kombat style, like an Injustice style, than it is the more traditional, what we think of with Marvel versus Capcom or Street Fighter or versus whatever, those games, the more Capcom-y fighting games, right?
Yeah, I guess,
I think that Marvel versus Capcom Infinite messed things up so bad that I'm not sure we're going to get another of those anytime soon. I mean, the biggest news for me would be if MVC2 remastered in any way, shape, or form gets to come back and finally gets freed.
Are they going to take us for a ride, Tim?
They might take us for a ride. I don't think I'm not in the fighting game community like this, so I don't know like if there's been talk of that. But like to me, the NetherRealms project and the return of MVC2 would be the most hyped things, and I think that both are fairly likely to be announced at this event. Because if not here, where?
You know, I mean, I think it depends. Yeah, it makes sense, I guess. For fighting games, right? Like, I mean, like, it's weird we don't have a Mortal Kombat or Injustice announced right now, right? Like you're saying, they're overdue.
Yeah, they are definitely overdue. And I feel like the most likely is just the next Mortal Kombat.
Would you pop for that? Would you be excited for that?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Dude, NetherRealm have won me over. If they put out single player campaign for these fighting games, I'm going to play it. I don't care what the IP is. Like, their shit is so damn good. So, yeah, I'd be super in it. I would be least excited about Mortal Kombat because I think that the last one they did, especially with the DLC, was just so damn fun doing the multiverse time travel stuff with the different eras of Mortal Kombat. Like, that was so good. But I had a great time with Injustice 2. So if they had announced an Injustice 3, I feel like, again, that would be another thing that I'd be least interested. I'd be least interested in just another sequel. I'd be most interested in adding Marvel. I'm a Marvel guy. That's no surprise, right? Yeah. Or even if it were to go back, like a Mortal Kombat versus DC 2 could be kind of fun.
That'd be insane. Remember how insane it is that I reviewed the Mortal Kombat versus DC for IGN. What the fuck, man? That just shows you we didn't know what the fuck. Greg likes DC, I guess.
On a similar but unrelated note, I was the one who made this Injustice 2, the movie, all cutscenes for IGN back in the day. And it has 7.6 million views, which might be the most viewed thing I've ever made.
I mean, dude,
can you bring those kind of views to Kinda Funny?
Yeah, if we do, fighting game cutscene videos.
Exclusive reveal stuff. Okay. I mean, we bring this up a lot, but for people that have not heard this before, like when Greg and I were at IGN, there would every once in a while be something that just gets so many clicks, so many views, no matter what you did. If you just put those words, it would just work. And Mortal Kombat, anything NetherRealm did was just bop, bop, bop. Every character reveal for Mortal Kombat would get millions of views, and the second most popular video that day would get like 400,000. Like it was insane, and that never stopped.
Story modes for fighting games as well, because there's a lot of people who really like story, like the story told in fighting games, but aren't necessarily like want to play the fighting game. So that's why those did well as well.
What you looking at, Greg?
I'm reading my review here for Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Well, like I don't even know how to play fighting games. You know what I mean? I gave it a 7.5. Was I on the money or not, Chad? I don't even know.
Yeah, that was they were finding their footing back then for sure.
Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe is fun and a solid entry into the franchise, but I doubt many folks will find it entertaining past a rental. Casual players will punch through the storyline before burning out after getting stomped by one or two combo challenges, while Mortal Kombat fans will have trouble accepting the toned-down fatalities and somewhat slower gameplay. In short, the game's fun, but its legs probably won't carry it beyond the whole, wow, Batman's fighting Superman first impression.
Yeah.
Actually, pretty good. I fucking faked this pretty well. Okay.
Yeah, good for you.
Fake it till you make it, Greg.
I must have talked to somebody who actually knew fighting games, right? Because I definitely wouldn't have. Well, I guess I probably played the Mortal Kombat. I played Mortal Kombat on Genesis, and I'm not bringing that in here. I see how slow that was right there. It's Jax did that slow ass thing.
Yeah. Man. God, what a different time.
Different time. Number 6, Riot's Project L is going to be free to play. This is Giuseppe Nelva over at Twinfinite. Today, Riot Games released a new video dedicated to the upcoming League of Legends 2D fighting game codenamed Project L. The video stars director Tom Cannon as he provided an update following a similar video last year. There's B-roll here, Barrett, if you want to grab it. We hear the confirmation that the game will be free to play, which may indeed not be too surprising to fans of the other games by Riot. That being said, the developers promise to be respectful to the player's time and wallet in terms of monetization. Basically, their rule is that if they wouldn't like something as fighting game veterans, they won't be implementing it. They also want everyone to be able to play regardless of the money they have spent on the game.
This game looks mind-blowing, Greg. It looks so good. And I really think that they are going to knock it out of the park with this one. I think that Riot's been building their arsenal of different genres, different mediums. With the success of Arcane recently, like they are going to just keep this going. And I just finished watching a show, Players, on Paramount Plus, that I'd recommend to everybody. It's a mockumentary series about esports essentially, and it follows a League of Legends team as they go through the LCS. And just I've always known what they've accomplished with everything all the way up to Worlds and all of that, and how crazy esports is, but specifically Riot esports, specifically the league side of things. For them to be getting into the fighting game community with this is, I think, so exciting, especially coming right off the last news story we just did talking about Evo. Like, Riot can kind of take it to the next level because they have the infrastructure. They already have the understanding of what it means to make esports its own kind of brand, again, its own medium. Like Arcane being a TV show, League being a PC game, all of that, having esports be this kind of like destination Twitch events, like they know what they're doing and they're really crushing it. So I can't wait for this game, especially because the free to play sounds like they're trying to make it even more accessible to people that aren't extremely into the technical side of a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, making it play a little bit more similar to Smash Brothers if you want it to. Like, that is such a brilliant call. And we see even Street Fighter 6 adapting those ideas, which again, I think is great.
We will wait and see how that one comes together. Snug Slacks in the chat says, I'll watch it once Greg recommends it. As you know, I am a fighting game reviewer, as approved by IGN.com. So I will be the one.
You just recommend great things like The Bear.
Exactly. That's the thing. Dime a dozen reviews out there. You know what I mean? Pete at the Garage, Nick at the Sandwich Shop. You can hear from a bunch of morons, you know, that don't know what the hell. They don't know their elbow from their asshole, right? They don't know if this is good or bad. I'll tell you the Bear is good, and you'll understand, you'll believe it, you'll go for it. It's great. Tim, I can't wait to see
Bear good.
My review. Huh? Bear down?
Bear good.
Bear good. That's what Pete said. And you're all like, oh, listen to Pete. Pete's a moron, clearly. All right. Let him put the carburetor in and get away from this meeting. I'm excited to see if Riot's Project L comes together, but the future is so far away. Tim, if I wanted something more immediate, say what came to the mom and pop shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Out today, Civitatem on PC, Hot Lap League on Switch, Retreat to Eden on PC, then The Gallery on PC and Xbox One. If that wasn't enough, ladies and gentlemen, too bad. That's all I came out today. Slow day for
Hot Lap League, Greg.
That's what I said. Hot Lap
League. Yeah.
What
would you think that is?
I bet it's slot cars. You're racing around.
It is something like that. Yeah, I just looked at it and it surprised me. I don't know, like the word hot and lap next to each other.
You don't like a hot lap, do you?
No, I don't.
Dirty boy. Also, there's no new dates for you, apparently. Nobody announced any new dates. A lot of that usual bullshit of like, our game's coming in 2023.
What was that game that was emailed to you, Greg? What about that game?
You know, I don't want to get banned on Twitch. I don't want to get banned. You want to go watch a little pixel art game, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to twitter.com/GameOverGreggy. You watch, go, okay, yeah, action platformer, some pixel art, side scrolling. And then at 34 seconds, this thing just fucking goes, now let's get pornographic. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
I don't even want to show the whole thing, so I'm just going to.
No, you do not want to do that. And here's what I'll do for you, ladies and gentlemen.
You hasn't been taken down off of Twitter, honestly.
You might watch it and be like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that stuff. What I encourage you to do is freeze frame it, is to pause and read the captions on some of the pictures. Because here's one. And again, this is a pixel art game. You are running around shooting stuff. It's Sophia and the Ancient Clan, all right? Here's one of there's these Polaroids, basically, right? And then they have captions on them. Here's one, and I won't even tell you what this witch is doing. I will actually. This witch is like bent over a gravestone, and she says, "Come on, baby. Do you like that? So tell me, if I help you activating the altars, you ghosts will all be set free?
Please, tell me the truth.
Come on, baby.
So unfollow me.
You like that? Jesus. Yeah, that's like, there's other ones. There are a lot of other There are other ones there for you to click on and look at, but that's what I get in my email box every day, and then I pass it on to you. Deals of the day, I want to pass on to you as well. This one comes from Wario64. Ukulele and the Impossible Layer on Steam is only $1 on Fanatical right now. So if you have not played that and want to get into that, go to Fanatical, give them $1, and you will be all set. Tim? We ask people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. We only got one here. It's Nanobiologist, and he is expounding, as Jared Petty would say, on this Founders Pass business for Dr. Disrespect. Founders Pass for Dr. Disrespect's game comes with an NFT. And you need to apply to get a Founders Pass based on the following: how long the applicant has been a member of the Midnight Society website, how active the user has been in the community, activity as a gamer, content creator, or developer, insight into how the variants should play into the game. So there's just more information. I don't think we got anything wrong there. He's just expounding on what this stupid Founders Pass is. And maybe it's not stupid, but it kind of sounds stupid. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just being me. Maybe I'm jaded. Who knows? Tim, as you know, it is Monday. It is a brand new month. Of course, new platinum item, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. But that means new host for the week. Tuesday, it's going to be me and Blessing. Wednesday, it's going to be Blessing and me. Thursday, it's going to be Blessing and Tim. Friday, Tim and Blessing. The trifecta host, me, Blessing, and Tim out here making it happen, capping. Right now, we're going to end this show. Tim and I are going to record an amazing post show about the top 10 wrestling games for a shit list, one of my favorite segments for the end of a Kinda Funny Games Daily.
Rare for you. This is exciting. I'm excited to do one with you. It's usually me and Bless, so.
I know, yeah. Well, remember, then I found out you guys were doing them, and I started kind of elbowing my way in there when I could.
Good.
But you can get that on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames later, where, of course, you could support us. You could write in and be part of the show. You could be a producer. You get the show ad-free. If you are watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames right now for free, or maybe you're giving us that Amazon Prime subscription so you don't have to watch ads, guess what? Up next, Mike Howard. He's a little man. He's from a little town called Lake Tahoe. He's going to come in. He's going to play a little game called Fall Guys for your pleasure. I hope he uses the WWE skins. Maybe I pop in for a few rounds and try out the Xavier Woods skin. All right. Maybe now they're finally listening to me. They're finally making good cosmetics. Maybe I come in and play a round or two.
Also, me and Barrett are going to be doing
if you're not live with us right now, you can catch Mike playing Fall Guys on youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays later. Yes, Tim, what are you doing?
Me and Barrett will be doing a reaction to the Star Wars Andor trailer that just dropped this morning, so you can check that out, youtube.com/kindoffunny. A lot of cool stuff where General
Grievous does stuff, right?
Yeah, he's all like, "Oh, I'm a gravy." Yeah. Feeling gravy, baby.
I forgot that General Grievous catchfravie. I'm feeling gravy. Glad gravy is just something that's across every known galaxy. Anyway,
gravy money, baby.
YouTube.com/kindoffunnyplays if you want to watch Mike later. YouTube.com/kindoffunny if you want to catch those reactions later. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames for all the games coverage we do here each and every weekday, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, there's a brand new episode running you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, please support us on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. It keeps the lights and the mics on. If you have no books tossed our way, no big deal. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. Like, subscribe, share, leave a review, do all that stuff. Use the Epic creator code Kinda Funny when you're making a purchase on the old Epic Game Store in Fortnite, or over there when you're playing Rocket League. For now, we got a post show to do. So until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.